Former ICICI Bank CEO Chanda Kocher's fate was sealed after her husband acknowledged dealings with the Videocon group continuing over several years, and the ICICI governing board found it difficult to believe her explanation of the sequence of events leading up to the disclosure. Conversations with officials having direct knowledge of the events show the board lost faith in Chanda Kocher after her husband's disclosures and her own attempts to explain the lack of transparency. In the annual filings of the year 2016, 2017, and 2018, she did not mention anything about the dealings in her filings. She maintained that there was nothing to disclose even after the initial charges in 2016, published in many pink papers across the country, led some in the board to believe the non disclosure may have been intentional. This deliberate non disclosure by a CEO of a Nasdaq listed company is similar to more and more news stories breaking about the CEOs leaving their role amid accusations of ethics breaches and lack of integrity. The board is meeting today to figure out the solutions so that it should create a company culture that insulates the company against these type of missteps. ICICI board has not paid any jurisprudence to define the accountability and performance measurement of the CEO. The board has failed to define CEO accountability clearly and assign it correctly at the right level of work. The board measures the success of the enterprise based on the quarterly earnings, and stock price jeopardizes a long-term sustainable shareholder return. ICICI board should not have waited for the scandals to happen. Many whistleblowers and sources were increasingly using anonymous social sharing apps to break news. Boards should be aware of this and consider whether any of these sites should be monitored. Using a third party like data miner could have avoided the social media issues. ICICI board could have separated the positions of the chairman and CEO, as it would have helped the accountability of those at the top to improve if there is division of roles, creating a system of checks and balances, making it more difficult to get away with unethical acts such as filing false disclosures. ICICI board itself cannot move out from the limelight that it is not guilty. 3 continuous years of failed filing disclosures puts a stringent remark on the workmanship of the board officials. Starting well before World War II and culminating in the 1960s and 1970s, the dominant approach to the moral dimension of business was a perspective that came to be known as corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility advocates that ethical management requirement, which is a process of anticipating both the law and the market, and for sound business reasons. In the short term, ethical behavior may prove costly to a company's bottom line, but it is a rewarding behavior. The behavioral pattern, the lifestyles, the discipline of business ethics taught in the schools is not helping managers to solve their conflicts of right versus right. How big business spaces and their big seats are affecting people's behavior. White collar crimes from last decade has taken a step forward, such as from fraud, embezzlement, bribery, money laundering to insider trading, fraudulent reporting, firm-wide reporting risks, propensity to take chances in today's world. Regulators all over the world have demanded that companies increase their efforts to deter wrongdoing. As a result, almost every multinational company now invests heavily in compliance and espouses zero tolerance of illegal behavior by employees. Yet, in practice, increased regulation and controls alone do not guarantee that crimes are detected early or averted. The root cause of the problem isn't ineffective regulations and compliance systems, however, it's weak leadership and flawed corporate culture. Sidelining the ethical issues is not because of more bad behavior or more corporate scandals, but because boards have become more reactive to the real time social media news cycle pressures, more focused on succession planning, and face greater scrutiny from both investors and the public. The public has grown more skeptical and less forgiving when it comes to bad behavior, and public outcry combined with the threat of activist investors has prompted boards to react more often. The financial crisis created a lot of mistrust. With a decline in trust, fewer of the constituencies, employees, customers, investors may believe that the overall system is working for them. So, is there any difference between ethics and business ethics? That is a $1 million question. In our view, there is no difference, as both are form of leading a lifestyle of living one's life. The ideologies of ethics that aid us solve ethical dilemmas in everyday life is the same principle that provide guidance in business, healthcare, law, and education. there are times when you face the conflict. Remember, business ethicists are not pure moral theorists. It is one leading a lifestyle of maintaining the arduous, conceptual balancing required in difficult cases where every alternative has both moral and financial costs.